that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you're interested in growing in business and life, and you are open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow hacker. DoorGrow hackers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management business owners and their businesses. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth expert, Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow. Now, let's get into the show. All right. And today, my guest is Lindsay Liu. Lindsay, I am going to unmute you here. All right. Then you can actually talk. All right, Lindsay, welcome to the DoorGrow Show.
Thanks so much for having me today.
So give us a little bit of background on yourself for those that don't know Lindsay, and which is me as well. So tell us a little bit about you, and then maybe how you sort of got connected to your business, and then we'll go into your business.
Great. Yeah, I can go back in time a bit. So professionally, I've been in the technology space for almost 15 years now. So building, launching digital products on behalf of and with companies. So I've done that for folks like Google, Amazon, Mercedes-Benz, the NBA. And then I've also been part of growing the businesses that I've been on that side of, right? Really thinking about finding product market fit, creating value propositions that make sense through the lens of technology. And then more recently, ventured into the startup world. So I was at a fintech startup for a bit, actually launched a whole new stock exchange and a software platform around that. And then it finally felt like time to build my own thing out. And the reason that I got into the property management space is that kind of alongside that professional track of work, I'd also been investing in real estate and properties. So I have everything from short-term rentals, so think kind of Airbnb, vacation homes, to long-term leases and tenants, to having done some flips over time. And the common thread with that for me was really just that when you are dealing with the maintenance, when you are dealing with an investment, and you're really looking to make that place a home, and a home that's going to grow in value over time, there was just a lot left to be desired in the technology space. And so I thought, why not bring these two passions together, right? My expertise in technology alongside my passion in real estate, and start to solve some problems for the space.
Awesome. So, yeah, and being passionate about real estate is one thing, but also being super technologically savvy and into technology is a whole different thing. And so that's cool that you're able to merge these two things together. And why don't you tell everybody what you came up with?
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Super. Super is a software platform really geared for property management. And what we're building is for the multifamily residential space. So we're really looking to build tools that help with efficiency, productivity, streamlining communication, and transparency across all of the different players that exist in the ecosystem of maintaining a healthy building. So we have tools for property managers and their management teams. We have tools for sponsors and developers as well. And obviously for board members, owners, and residents of those buildings as well.
Got it. So what makes this particular to multifamily instead of other niches in property management?
Yeah, I think, in my experience anyway, multifamily is a really unique situation, right? You have a group of people that are paying in for the shared maintenance. And so things like repairing a roof, that decision becomes really difficult and more complicated when you're dealing with 50 or 100 people that are part of making that decision and funding that. And so the governance and the amount of care that needs to go into maintaining a healthy building is just inherently more complex when you have more stakeholders and parties in a multifamily setup versus single family. And so we thought we would start with that pain point first We definitely have big ambitions to continue to grow to support other types of real estate, but the multifamily space felt really like the place where we could solve some immediate pain points for folks.
Got it. So this, when you talk about governance, this manages a little bit of the association sort of situation as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Multi-
So homeowners associations, condos, co-ops, really thinking about the types of tools that are needed to help accelerate decision making and help gain alignment as well.
Okay, cool. Random questions. Then would this work for HOAs that are not multifamily?
Absolutely. We have built the tool with that in mind, knowing that we would need to expand into that. Um, in the case of, for instance, homeowners associations, I think that uh, the level of types of challenges really depends on that community and how healthy it is on its own, right? So the number of shared amenities that you might have, the amount that you're paying in for that shared maintenance and for your common charges. And so, I think if it's just you're paying in for lawn maintenance, that's a different type of responsibility set than if you have, let's say, a pool with many common areas that need to be maintained for that homeowners association as well.
Now, is this a tool that a property management company that already has some sort of property management software, like they have Rent Manager or they have Resman or some sort, is this something that they would use in conjunction, or is this replacing that?
I think we've really intentionally built the product to play very well and to play nice and be complementary to whatever other suite. I think I deeply recognize that each management company already is going to have its own tech stack, right? Whether that's as simple as we use email and we have a phone service and we use some out of the box tools like, maybe Slack or Trello or Basecamp, something like that, all the way to we're using Yardi or we're using, a number of other different types of software. I think our perspective on that is one of the challenges for management teams is how siloed a lot of these different solutions are. And the ability to really pull some of that data together and have that play nicely is pretty powerful on its own.
Yeah, I think integrations are going to be a big deal here in the future for property management. I feel like that's a space that's kind of lagged. And there's a lot of companies that will integrate with vendors, property management software, but the challenge is trying to get the entire tech stack integrated can be a mess. And so
I
some
mean,
trying
yeah, first,
Swiss Army knife that does everything, but then it's not good at any of them.
right. And I think that's exactly where I stand is from what we're trying to build. The reason I've been pretty specific around that group that we're building for today, right? We're an early stage startup, is it's better to be extremely good at a small number of things than it is to be mediocre at a wide range of things as well, right? So we really want to figure out what is the core that we're solving for, what are the biggest pain points that we should be building against, and be the experts in that. And then where we aren't, we want to make sure that we are playing nicely with the people that are the experts in that field.
I agree. So tell us what Super does. Tell us about it. Tell us about the features and
Mhm.
how you can use it and what problems does it solve.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the core, I would say first thing is to really think about us from the lens of a productivity tool, right? So it's software that is supposed to help you save time, save money, and be more efficient. So from a property manager perspective, really this is about increasing your operational efficiency and therefore your operating margin, right? You'll be able to do more things in less time. And so to enable that, we've built what we call like an operating core for sets of features and functionality that allow for that. So the one of the main things that we're solving for right now is communication. And I think that is the piece that again and again and again keeps coming up when you talk to management teams and the residents. It's a pain point on both sides, right? Where maybe a request is coming in and the resident is wondering what happened with that. What is the status of it? Did it ever get done? And then on the other end, the management team is saying, I'm so busy getting the thing done, I just forgot to update you on that, right? And so there's a lot of this unnecessary friction that is happening that we think is a great opportunity for technology to automate. And the other thing that we're doing quite differently is we believe that consumers today are quite tired of having to download another app or to learn a whole new experience in order to use something. I think what we've realized is we should remove all of that friction and just use the tools that people like to use today and that frankly do work for that baseline communication. So people like to email and they like to text. So we've built our entire platform around enabling communication around email and text. And what happens is our system is going to parse all of that information and give the managers a really nice dashboard that says, we recognize who this person is, they emailed in, and we're going to make that task automatically for you. So we're really kind of shortcutting some of those steps between if someone emails you today, you have to go look up, right, which property they're in, who they're with, their history, and then you have to go and create that ticket. We do all of that automatically.
Got it. So maybe to showcase this audibly, why don't you walk us through an example scenario involving all the parties and how it's facilitating the communication?
Sure. Let's take a really common one. Someone's got a leak, right? And they think it's the most urgent thing in the world, right? So what they would do if they are using Super is the resident would either email or text the dedicated phone number that that property has. So let's say, I don't know, 123 HOA, right,
Mhm.
is going to email and say, I have a leak in my unit. They don't even have to say I'm in unit 1A or whatever. We recognize who that user is, and we're automatically going to create the task in Super. For the resident, what's going to happen is because they emailed it in, we will automatically send them a confirmation acknowledging receipt as well as say, hey, we got this. And it will automatically be assigned to the property manager that is responsible for that property. That property manager, right, will then get notified that they have a new task that's been assigned to them. And they can go in and they can say, okay, maybe I need to reassign this to the super that's on staff, right, to go and take a look at this. Or maybe I need to bring in an external vendor, right? Maybe I need, the plumbing company to come by and see if this is happening from something that we knew was happening with the toilet upstairs above that unit, right? So they can then bring in the appropriate parties and liaise with all of them within the platform. They can also update the resident within there. So they could just write back and kind of say, hey, we're on this. Don't worry, I'm going to send somebody out right now. And that resident's going to get an immediate paper trail of all of that communication. As soon as this issue is resolved, if the management team marks it as done, the resident's going to get feedback saying this task has been marked as complete. So we're really closing those feedback loops, making sure that that communication, right, any of those gaps where we can automate with technology, we're using technology to do that. So it's just going to save you those minutes every single day on those repetitive types of emails and communication that have to be made so that you can just move on to doing something else with your day.
Okay, so this is really now what you described is like a really cool maintenance coordination tool, right? So it's helping to coordinate maintenance. Does Super go beyond maintenance coordination, or is that
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where things start to get really exciting, right? So think about in that homeowners association example, you have a board. They have to run regular board meetings. They have the annual owners meeting. We have templates that allow them to support that governance. So think about a task. There's a certain type of task, right? That is just about board meetings and owners meetings. And so what we'll do is we'll create that schedule for them. We'll set a preset agenda. They can update that at any time. They can add all of the board members to it. And then once those minutes are in there, they use that, right, to log the discussion that they had in the next steps. That is saved. And you don't even have to go and create a separate minutes document. It's already there for you to go and look at that over time. For board members, we also have things like quick polling. So if you need to make a decision on something, I don't know about you, but the times that I've been on boards, you're, making a decision on an email thread that's already 70 emails deep. And by the time someone says, hey, can you all decide on this? Someone chimes in with something else and suddenly you're talking about another topic. And 3 weeks later, no decision has been made. So we're really trying to make everything very
by
actionable.
committee?
Exactly. And it's just, it's the fact that if email is the most prevalent tool you're using, it's just not the right tool for creating actionable conversations, right? And so we're trying to build that tooling into a platform that is purpose built for property management. We also have tools around obviously all of your file management, documentation, and storage. That's, I think, another challenge with email is you have turnover, you have, for instance, board members that leave, and all of that historical information today goes with them. Um, I'm still getting emails from boards that I was on years ago being like, hey, do you remember that vendor that we used for that thing? Do you happen to have that contract somewhere? You can look for it. That should never be something that happens with good governance of a building, right? So we centralize and store all of that information on behalf of the buildings. We help them keep their contact directories really nice and clean and updated. And then we have a whole finances component as well, where we help them visualize these really simple real-time dashboards for what's going on with the association's health. How much are they taking in? How much are they spending every single month? You can kind of look at that throughout the year, dive into transactions. And then the next thing we'll be rolling out is the ability to accept and receive those monthly payments as well.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. All right. So it sounds like so far, I don't know if there's anything else, but the two big components of this are maintenance coordination and then the HOA governance and board meetings and documentation storage and dashboards.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about the things that I wish I had as a board member in my previous, and I've been on the board of 3 condos at this point, so I'm just pulling from those personal experiences. I wish that I had a way where, what was that?
You're a brave person, or a glutton for punishment. I don't know. There's
I know.
an individual that chooses to be on a board of an association.
Well, it's funny because the first time I joined, I remember a friend of mine being like, he was on the board of his co-op. He was like, "Don't do it. Just don't do it. Like, you're never gonna have a life when you go home." And I was like, I just feel like I'm really able to solve problems, and I'm a really proactive person. Then I got on, and now I'm that person that tells people, I'm like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Like, good luck to you. So when I think about the things that I really wish that I had, right, it was that communication piece. I wanted more transparency and visibility into what the property manager was doing, the decisions that were being made, how things were going overall. I wanted that into our building's finances as well, right? How are we doing as far as our targets for what we wanted to be spending from an operating perspective versus how we are tracking? Do we need to think about doing things like raising the fees? Do we need to do things like leverage a special assessment, right? That type of planning. I really wish we had more visibility and transparency into that. Absolutely wish that we just had better governance around the documents, the history of the building, decisions that had been made previously, and tools to help us just operate in a healthier way as well. So we've really built around those cornerstones of what we think are the kind of the building blocks, the foundation of what a healthy building needs.
Okay, very cool. This sounds really great. So if people have a property management business and they're managing a large building, a multifamily building, and they're dealing with some of this drama, this would be a great tool for them to systematize things, bring the communication together, deal with some of the maintenance coordination, approvals, communication transparency, and then also making sure that the meeting stuff is all held in one place. And I would imagine if property managers are implementing this, then this probably is a really great selling point for these property managers that are doing this work, that they have this repository that's been built up with the association's help.
Absolutely. I think that when I think about what makes the property management industry so challenging, and I'm sure you have a point of view on this as well, it really is time is your biggest premium, right? It is a very manual and people oriented set of tasks, right, that need to be done. And at the end of the day, what are people best for? Dealing with the human side of things, right? The kind of complex logic, the decisioning that needs to go into making sure that this group of people are happy and functioning. That's like totally something that you need a person to be able to manage. And so where can we come in? We can come in and help them with all of the other type of administrative, repetitive work that is not as high value from a people perspective, but is definitely very high value from an operational perspective, right? So where can we help streamline that? And I think that that's a value proposition that resonates time and time again. If we say, I can save you minutes every single day on these 10 types of tasks, right? That ladders up to hours at the end of a week that you are saving. And on top of that, your residents feel happier. You're going to have more stickiness and retention. These are things that will help the bottom line of a business.
Now, I imagine when it comes to associations utilizing a software like this, rather than the property manager. So the property manager would just build this into their fee structure. I would imagine it's part of their services. They can say, we have this cool tool and system, and they have an advantage, because otherwise the association board members, there's always going to be the negative person that's going to try and like say, hey, we don't want to spend all this money. on this technology or the software. Somebody can do this and we can figure it out ourselves. And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, what's interesting is even though we don't specifically target the individual board members and HOAs, we get a lot of inbound from them. People
Yeah.
reaching out saying, I really wish there was a better way. And so, if anything, that gives me signal that the residents and the board members are looking for tools, they're looking for a better way to do things. And I think this is when I think about technology in general and what's happening, even in the enterprise space, it's kind of we've been talking about this consumerization of IT, right? If I can get a task rabbit to come and fix a thing for me within 20 minutes and I can know every step of the way and the payment's just settled, why can't I have that in every other aspect of my life? Why
Mm.
does that have to be so difficult when it comes to getting a plumbing repair done in my apartment, right? That's the frame of reference that the resident is using is, well, I can get a car just to my door in 5 minutes with Uber. Like, why is it so difficult? And so I think I think more and more we're going to see that that is the emerging expectation of residents. They're going to have these high expectations. They're going to expect things to just kind of feel like magic. And so the technology is a great differentiator, if anything, for these property management companies to say, yeah, we're with you on that. And we've already built that into our workflows.
Yeah, got it. Cool. So I see on your website you have pricing for associations and
Mhm.
managers. So but really it sounds like you're just targeting people that are managing their own building, and that would be either they own the building and they are the property manager, they're an owner operator, or people that are doing third party management. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right. We do get, and I think, we're an interesting tool for those that are more on the self-managed side of things, right? So if you're kind of on that cusp of, I need some help, we don't take in enough dues to be able to support hiring a property manager. The software is a great solution for that, right? Where it can come in, it can help you take care of, again, a lot of that administrative, operational stuff, give you the peace of mind that we've got your back on the main things that you have to get done. And will be a fraction of the price of a management company, right? Um, the audience that we're really focused on building and kind of finding mutual success with, I think, is the property management companies, though, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are responsible for just, some of the companies that we work with and talk to, thousands of units. And thousands of doors, right? Where that is something that we can help find just even greater scale of efficiency with them. And that's great for our business as well, right? To be dealing with one core customer that's highly motivated to pull this into their business and to find the results with it.
Yeah. So even you would rather deal with one company instead of death by committee in an situation.
Learning from the past. We're growing and evolving here.
Okay, cool. Well, any other major questions that people might or usually ask about this software, about your technology that you want to make them aware of here on the podcast?
Sure. I think one thing that we hear quite a bit is how is this different from, right?
Mhm.
Because there are other tools out there. And I think that the key here is that we're really building. I think one of the things that I would say is we're building for 2020 to 2023, even, right? So we're really trying to bring best in class technology and engineering practices, thinking deeply about things like security, right? Like you've got information about where people live, about their roles in the building, about if they have kids, and right, all of the history here. That is really, really important, actually, that you
Yeah.
have somebody that is, you have a team that is thinking about the best practices for this modern age where you've just got more and more kind of threats from a cybersecurity and digital perspective. So I would say that's kind of just one thing is just building best in class, building from the ground up. And I think what we're also doing is we're really learning from all of those past experiences. We're learning from what has worked, and we're also learning from what hasn't worked. There, we're trying to take a very user-centric approach there. And so, even with our customers right now, I would say we are always co-creating. They have space to come and tell us what do they want in the roadmap. We feed that back to them. We kind of say, here's the things we're thinking about, and we are shipping new things every single week. And that's like a really exciting time for us to be in where every single week there's something new to kind of go to a customer and say, hey, we now have this. We now have this. And it's a very rich and exciting roadmap ahead. So I think, it's only going to get more exciting as we get into the next year and beyond.
Very cool. So so some people might look at the pricing, they might go, I don't know if we can afford this. How do you help people justify the cost?
Yep, there's a few ways, right? I think the first is, so one of the key offerings that we have for New York City buildings specifically, and that's where I'm based, and half of our team is based out here, is there's a lot of compliance work that needs to be done. So inspections, filings, just disclosures that need to be sent. And I just think there's a level of need to stay on top of that in New York City that is just even higher than other places, even especially, there's new laws rolling out for energy efficiency standards, right? New regulation that really adds a lot of extra layers of complexity. So one of the things that we have done is we've automated those compliance workflows. So we actually can look backwards in time, see when you last did a certain inspection, and give you a reminder automatically for the next time it's due. So that value prop is really simple. The cost of an average violation, we're probably going to be less than that. So if we can save you that money and that time and that headache dealing with it, then that's a really clear one. For the property managers, I think it really does come down to, we're saving you time. I talked to a boutique management company this week, and the owner operator was like, minimum wage is going up, and with inflation and what's happening in the economy right now, I don't know that I can justify to my customers, like, they're not going to accept a rate increase, but my costs are going up, right? I think that's a very real thing right now. And so for these teams to be able to operate with the quality of service they want to continue to maintain, and to be able to do so in an environment economically where there's some constriction, there's a lot of sensitivity, I think, from the residents around price, right? Even on the rental side, just the cost of rent has skyrocketed. And there's just a lot of different factors there. If we can provide you with the way to be able to scale the number of customers that you can take on without having to increase headcount, that's a huge value add for your business. And so those are the types of conversations that I'm really excited to be having with management teams, where there's a very, very clear value exchange of the ability for us to help them build their business and to be there alongside them for that.
Cool. So it's fair to say, if somebody has a multi-unit building, they probably should talk to you guys to just.
Absolutely. You said it here. So thank you for that.
It sounds like you're doing some really innovative things, collapsing time, helping to systemize things. It sounds like it fills kind of a unique sort of gap in the marketplace between property management software and, what multi-unit buildings and associations over those buildings need and require. The big challenge with associations, though, is the pet drama. Like, pets poop in places. Like, that's the real stuff right there. That and packages, right? Those are
packages, huge, especially this time of year. That's something that I tell you, I'm so glad we have such an amazing technology team. We want to figure something out there, because right now the only package scanning apps work if you have full-time staff, right? If you have a porter there to actually scan the thing for you. So there's something interesting there that we're definitely trying to figure out. So maybe we can talk about that in the future.
That'll be a future episode.
Exactly.
You've got the pet poop and the packages.
I first heard about the doggy testing kits like 5 years ago. It was a thing in one of the condos I was on the board of. It was like, whose pet on the stairwell?
A database of dog DNA, pet DNA inside of your software.
See, that feels like priority number one for tomorrow. So we'll get on that.
That's funny. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for coming and sharing this technology with the DoorGrow show audience. And I wish you success.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me on.
Of Super.
Yeah, our website is hiresuper.com, HIRESUPER.
Perfect. Cool. Check out hiresuper.com if you have a multifamily building. All right. Thank you, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
All right. So everybody go check out Hire Super, and we appreciate you listening to our show. Please like and subscribe if you're following us on some channels that allow you to do that. And please leave us some positive feedback and a review. We'd appreciate it greatly. And check us out at DoorGrow if you're wanting to grow your business. We highly recommend, if you are in especially the single family residential space, check out our DoorGrow code. Talk to our team and find out about the DoorGrow code, which is the journey for an entrepreneur going from 0 to 1,000+ doors. And we can help you collapse time significantly on that. And until next time, everybody, to our mutual growth. Bye, everyone.